Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, why did not I say what I really meant? Why do others speak with such clarity while I struggle to find the right words? Why do some people command respect the moment they open their mouth, while I feel invisible? Here is the truth. Smart communication is not a talent, it is a learnable skill. It is not about using big words or sounding intellectual. It is about knowing how to speak so your voice is heard, your message is clear, and your presence is felt, without raising your volume or pretending to be someone else. This audiobook is not just about talking better. It is about unlocking your inner speaker, one that is powerful, authentic, and impossible to ignore. You will learn how to speak with calm confidence, how to influence without manipulation, how to build trust, respect, and presence one word at a time. So, if you are ready to stop shrinking in silence, if you are ready to speak smart in meetings, interviews, relationships, and everyday life, then what you are about to hear could change everything. Because when you learn to speak smart, you do not just change how others hear you. You change how the world responds to you. Now, let us begin. Chapter 1. Why speaking smart matters more than ever. Imagine walking into a room filled with professionals, strangers, or potential opportunities. You have not shown your resume. You have not proven your skills. You have not even sat down yet. Within the first 30 seconds of speaking, people have already made a judgment about your intelligence, your confidence, and your credibility. That is the silent truth of human interaction. The way you speak creates your perceived identity long before your actions do. This is not just a theory. It is backed by science. Studies at Princeton University have revealed that people form impressions of others in milliseconds based on voice tone, clarity, and word choice. In a world driven by fast communication, your voice has become your signature, and how smart you sound often decides whether doors open or remain shut. Speaking smart is not about using big words or sounding robotic. It is about speaking with clarity, structure, and confidence that makes others trust you, respect you, and want to listen more. Every time you speak, you are either building credibility or slowly losing it. Think about the most powerful leaders in history: Barack Obama, Steve Jobs, Malala Yousafzai, Martin Luther King Jr. They were not just smart. They knew how to speak smart. They knew when to pause, what stories to tell, and how to command attention without shouting. Their voices carried weight, not because of volume, but because of intention. Now more than ever, this matters. We live in a noisy world. Social media, video calls, reels, short attention spans, quick decisions. People scroll, people swipe, people judge fast. In a world full of noise, the smart speaker stands out like a lighthouse. Whether you are in a job interview, on a date, giving a presentation, recording a video, or just having a conversation, how you speak creates impact. If you speak smart, you are trusted. If you sound vague, distracted, or unconfident, people tune out. It is that simple. Let us take a real-life example. Two candidates walk into a job interview. Both have the same qualifications, but one speaks in a scattered way using filler words, jumping from thought to thought. The other one speaks with clarity, frames every response with structure, and uses real examples. Who gets hired? The one who speaks smart. Why? Because clarity builds trust, and trust leads to decisions. But here is the good news. Speaking smart is not a talent. It is a skill, and skills can be learned, practiced, and mastered. You do not have to be born a great speaker. You do not need a perfect accent. You do not need a high IQ. You just need a mindset of growth, some powerful techniques, and a willingness to show up. Speaking smart is a superpower, not just in public speaking, but in everyday life. It helps you resolve conflict without escalation, It helps you pitch ideas with impact. It helps you connect deeply with others. And most of all, it helps you feel confident in your own voice. In this audiobook, you will learn how to use your voice to reflect your intelligence, influence, and authenticity. You will discover tools to improve your vocabulary without sounding fake. You will learn how to think before you speak, listen before you answer, and speak with both heart and logic. You will unlock the patterns that great communicators use and how you can make them your own. This journey is not just about speaking better. It is about becoming a person who thinks clearly, listens deeply, and speaks wisely. So, as we begin, I invite you to ask yourself, what if the way you speak could change your future? What if speaking smart is not about impressing others, but about expressing your best self? Are you ready to sound as intelligent as you truly are? Because your voice already has power. Now, let us help it speak smart. Chapter 2: The Science of Sounding Intelligent. What makes someone sound smart? Is it their vocabulary, their grammar, their accent? Surprisingly, it is none of those alone. It is something deeper. How the brain reacts to sound, structure, and delivery. Neuroscience shows that people are drawn to certain speech patterns, not because they are complex, but because they are clear, rhythmic, and emotionally grounded. When someone speaks smart, your brain lights up, not because they use big words, but because they make meaning easy to absorb. Researchers from the University of California discovered that the human brain prefers organized language, delivered in a steady rhythm with natural pauses. Think about your favorite TED talk. The speaker likely did not rush or mumble. They had control. They paced their thoughts. They emphasized key words. They made you feel understood. That is not magic. It is science. The brain finds clarity comforting. So when you speak with a rhythm, pausing for effect, lowering your tone at the right moments, using short, punchy sentences, you create mental music that keeps people hooked. And here is another insight. According to a Harvard study, people who speak with slightly slower, deliberate pace are perceived as more intelligent and trustworthy than those who speak rapidly. It is not about dragging your words. It is about giving your message room to breathe. Smart speakers respect silence. They know a pause is not empty. It is powerful. A well-timed pause after a bold statement allows the listener's brain to process and feel its weight. I believe in you. Pause. Even when you do not, that pause changes everything. Now, let us talk tone. Your tone tells the listener how to feel about what you are saying. Say, I am fine, in a flat tone, and it sounds dull. Say it with warmth, and it feels reassuring. The smart speaker does not just deliver information. They shape emotional experience. Tone is how you wrap your message. If your words are the gift, your tone is the wrapping paper. And we all know we judge the gift by how it is wrapped. But even more powerful than tone is intentional emphasis. When you slightly stress a word, say it with more energy or volume. It tells the brain this matters. For example, listen to the difference. I never said she stole the money. Now shift the emphasis. I never said she stole the money. Feels different, right? One sentence, multiple meanings. Smart speakers know how to guide the listener's focus just by how they emphasize. Let us not forget nonverbal sound, your sighs, breaths, vocal inflection. These subtle audio signals create emotion. If you sound rushed, people feel tense. If you speak calmly, people relax. Smart communication is not just about what you say. It is about how your message feels when it hits the listener's ears. Take Martin Luther King Jr. His famous "I have a dream" speech was not genius just because of the words. It was the cadence, the tone, the energy. He did not speak at people. He spoke through them. His voice had conviction, rhythm, and motion. He could have said the same message in a monotone voice, and it would not have changed history. The science also shows that our brains reward clarity with dopamine, the feel-good chemical. When someone explains something in a way we easily understand, we literally feel good about them. That is why some people become instant favorites in conversation. They give your brain what it craves: clarity, confidence, and emotional alignment. So, what can you do? Start with these 3 smart speaker habits. Slow down just a bit. Give your message space. Let each sentence land before jumping to the next. Emphasize your keywords. Do not flatten your message. Highlight what matters. Use your tone like a highlighter. Respect the pause. Do not fear silence. Use it to build attention, tension, or reflection. A pause after a strong line makes it unforgettable. Smart speech is not about sounding like a professor. It is about triggering trust and clarity in the listener's mind. The more the brain enjoys your speech pattern, the more it labels you as intelligent, credible, and charismatic. The power is already in your voice. You just need to shape it with awareness. In the next chapter, we will unlock the art of vocabulary, how to use simple, smart words that make you sound intelligent without sounding fake. Get ready to remove fluff and add power to your language. Because sounding smart is not about showing off. It is about showing up with clarity, connection, and confidence. Chapter 3. Vocabulary without complexity. Most people believe that to sound smart, you have to use big words, complicated phrases, and technical jargon. But the truth is the opposite. Smart people do not try to sound smart. They try to be understood. And being understood is the highest form of intelligence in communication. If your message confuses the listener, it does not matter how advanced your vocabulary is. Clarity always beats complexity. Let us break a myth. Albert Einstein once said, "If you cannot explain it simply, you do not understand it well enough." That is the gold standard. The smartest people can explain complex ideas in simple language. They choose words with precision, not pomp. They want impact, not applause. They care about connection, not confusion. Think about the most inspiring KD talks, the best books, the most persuasive speeches. They rarely use fancy vocabulary. They use human words, words people feel, words people remember. Because the goal is not to impress, it is to express. Now, let us look at an example. Imagine someone says the juxtaposition of divergent ideologies creates an epistemological dissonance in the socio-political narrative. Sounds impressive, maybe. But did you actually understand it? Now listen to this version. When opposite beliefs collide, it creates confusion in society's story. Same idea, but now you get it. It lands. That is speaking smart, using strong, simple, clean words that carry meaning. You do not need to eliminate every advanced word. Just make sure that every word you use serves the message, not your ego. Smart vocabulary is like seasoning in food. A little bit adds flavor. Too much ruins the meal. Let us make it practical. Here are 3 ways to upgrade your vocabulary without sounding fake or forced. Use precise verbs. Instead of "he made the decision," say "he decided." Instead of "she gave help," say "she helped." Smart speakers trim the fat. They do not say more, they say better. Replace filler words with power words. Instead of saying, like, just, basically, or kind of, train yourself to pause or say nothing. Silence is stronger than clutter. A sentence like, "I was just trying to explain it," becomes, "I was trying to explain it." Simple, clear, strong. Build a smart word bank. Every week, learn 5 new words that are useful, not complicated. Words like insight, clarity, purpose, strategy, authentic. Practice using them naturally. Do not force them in. Let them come out when they fit. And here is the most important tip. Listen to how powerful communicators speak. Study podcasts. Watch world leaders. Pay attention to interviewers like Oprah. Speakers like Simon Sinek or authors like E. Brown. Use words that move people, not confuse them. They do not perform with words. They connect through them. You do not need a dictionary to sound smart. You need intention. Ask yourself, does this word help or hide my message? If it hides, remove it. If it helps, keep it. You are not in a vocabulary contest. You are in a connection game. Language is a bridge. Complicated words create distance. Clear words build trust. When you speak with vocabulary that is clean, crisp, and connected to the heart of your message, people do not just hear you, they feel you. And when people feel you, they remember you. Let us take a real-world moment. Picture a teacher explaining gravity to a 10-year-old. They can say, gravity is the force that attracts a body toward the center of the earth. Or they can say, gravity is why, when you drop your pencil, it falls down instead of floating away. Which version sticks? The one's disrelatable, because smart language is not about your knowledge. It is about your ability to transfer that knowledge. So the next time you want to sound smart, do not reach for a thesaurus. Reach for clarity. Reach for honesty. Reach for words that land like arrows. Straight, sharp, and strong. In the next chapter, we will go even deeper. You will learn how to speak with structure, how to organize your thoughts like a pro, and how to make your speech flow like a well-written song. Because even the best words mean nothing without the right structure. Get ready to speak smart, not only word by word, but line by line. Chapter 4. Speak with structure. Words are powerful, but words without structure are like bricks without a blueprint. They fall apart, create confusion, or worse, leave no impact. Fluffern. If you want to speak smart, it is not enough to choose the right words. You must organize your thoughts in a way that is easy to follow, impossible to forget, and powerful enough to move people. Smart speakers do not just speak. They build their message step by step like a staircase, guiding the listener upward toward understanding. Think of the best conversations you have had, the best speeches you have heard, the best advice you have received. There was a flow to it, a beginning, a middle, and an end. That is not an accident. That is structure, and structure makes you sound 10 times smarter, even if you say fewer words. Let us start with the basics. Every smart message has 3 parts: set up, core idea, close. First, you set the stage. Then, you deliver your main point. Finally, you close with a conclusion or action. It is the same model used by presidents, authors, motivational speakers, even top lawyers. Why? Because the human brain is wired to follow patterns. And this 3-step pattern feels natural, logical, and persuasive. For example, if someone asks you, "What is your opinion on leadership?" Do not ramble, do not freestyle, pause. Then structure it like this. Set up. Leadership is not about titles, it is about impact, core idea. A great leader listens more than they speak, sets the tone with their actions, and inspires others by staying consistent, close. So to me, real leadership is about influence, not position. That is just 3 sentences, but it sounds smart, confident, and complete. No over-explaining, no rambling, just clarity. Another powerful structure is the rule of 3. Our brains love trios. They are simple, satisfying, and sticky. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That is the rule of 3. It shows up in stories, speeches, slogans, because it works. When you are making a point, break it into 3. For example, there are 3 reasons I believe this idea will work. It is cost-effective, it is scalable, and it is backed by data. Boom! You just sounded like a strategist, not a rambler. Here is another secret of structured speech. Signposting. This means telling your listener what is coming next, like a roadmap. Phrases like, "Let me explain. Here is why that matters. There are 2 things you should know." Or, "Let us break this down," are tiny but powerful signals. They show you are organized. They guide the listener, and they make you sound thoughtful, even before you have made your point. Now, let us go deeper. Storytelling is the ultimate structure for smart speaking. Humans are hardwired to remember stories. If you want to make a point that lasts, wrap it inside a story. Not a long one, just a quick scene. When I was 17, I gave a speech in school and forgot every word. That day taught me the value of preparation. And now I never speak without a plan. In 3 lines, you gave emotion, context, and insight. That is smart speech. Even in serious or formal moments like business meetings, interviews, or presentations, structure separates the smart from the average. Picture someone saying, "I think we should do this project because it feels right." Now compare that to "We should pursue this project for 3 reasons. 1. It solves a real customer pain. 2. We already have the team and tools. And 3. It aligns with our long-term vision. Same idea, different delivery. The second one wins every time. Structure builds trust. It shows that you thought things through, that you are not speaking from impulse, that your ideas have depth, direction, and discipline, and that makes people lean in. It makes them listen. It makes them remember. Even when you are nervous, structure can be your safety net. You do not need to memorize every word. Just remember the path. Where do I begin? What is my core message? How do I wrap it up? That is your framework. That is your guide. So, here is your challenge. The next time you speak, whether it is in a meeting, a conversation, or a voice note, pause for a second and ask, what is my structure? It could be 3 points. It could be a story. It could be set up, message, close, but have a plan, because structure does not limit your voice. It amplifies it. In the next chapter, we will explore what might be the most magnetic part of sounding smart, confidence. Structure gives your message shape, but confidence gives it power. And when you combine both, you do not just speak smart, you speak with impact. Chapter 5, Confidence is contagious. You have probably seen it before. Someone walks into a room, says just a few words, and suddenly everyone is paying attention. What makes their voice stand out? It is not the volume. It is not the vocabulary. It is something invisible, yet undeniable, confidence. And here is the truth. When you speak with confidence, people listen, even before they understand what you are saying. Confidence is not arrogance. It is not about showing off. It is about being grounded in your message and expressing it like you believe it matters. Because the moment you believe your voice deserves to be heard, so does the world. And this belief, it spreads. That is why confidence is contagious. It flows from you into the listener, creating trust, presence, and authority. Let us get one thing straight. Confident speaking is not about having no fear. It is about speaking despite the fear. Even great speakers feel nervous. Even experts sometimes stumble. But what separates them is how they carry themselves in those moments. They do not panic. They breathe. They pause. They refocus, because they know this secret. You do not have to feel confident to speak confidently. You just need to practice sounding like you do. Start with your body. Your posture speaks before your mouth does. If you slump, fidget, or avoid eye contact, your words lose power, even if they are brilliant. But if you stand tall, keep your shoulders back, and make steady eye contact, Your message gains presence. Your voice follows your body. When your body looks confident, your voice sounds confident. Next is your tone. Confident speakers speak with intention, not hesitation. They do not rush. They do not shrink their voice. They do not end every sentence like a question. Instead, they anchor their words. They use downward inflection to sound certain. Not flat, not robotic, just steady, like they mean every word. Now, think about filler words. They sneak into your speech while trying to fill the silence. But here is the truth. A pause is smarter than a filler. If you do not know what to say, pause, breathe, think, then speak. That pause tells the listener you are thoughtful, not unsure. Real-life example. Imagine two speakers pitching the same idea. One says, we should maybe try a new marketing strategy, because it would kind of help. The other says, I believe a new marketing strategy will help us reach our audience more effectively. Here is why. Which one sounds smarter? Which one gets attention? The confident one. Not because of better ideas, but because of better delivery. But what if you do not feel confident? What if your hands shake or your voice trembles? That is okay. Confidence is a muscle, not a personality trait. And like any muscle, it grows with repetition, discomfort, and feedback. Here is how to build it. Practice out loud. Do not just think your ideas. Speak them. Record voice notes. Talk to the mirror. Say your message 10 different ways until it feels natural in your mouth. Visualize success. Before any conversation or speech, take 30 seconds and picture yourself speaking clearly, calmly, powerfully. Visualization rewires your brain for calm performance. Stack small wins. Do not aim to be perfect. Aim to improve. Speak up in small meetings. Share one point in a group. Ask one smart question. Each moment builds your belief. And most importantly, own your story. Your voice matters not because it is flawless, but because it is honest. People connect to confidence, but they fall in love with authenticity. Speak like you mean it. Speak like you believe in it. And speak like someone whose words carry weight, because they do. Confidence transforms a soft voice into a strong presence. It turns a simple message into a memorable one. And when combined with clarity, structure, and intention, it becomes unstoppable. In the next chapter, we go beyond your words and into your ears. You learn why listening is the smartest speaking skill of all. Because to speak smart, you first need to understand, and understanding starts with listening. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Listening is speaking smart. Here is a secret that most people never learn. The smartest speakers are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who listen best. In fact, if you want to sound truly intelligent, persuasive, and respected, you must first master the art of listening. Not just hearing words, but absorbing meaning. Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but making the other person feel seen, heard, and understood. Why does listening make you sound smart? Because it gives your responses depth. It shows that you are not reacting. You are not guessing. You are not guessing. You are grounded. And people trust speakers who respond with relevance, not rehearsed lines. In a noisy world full of people trying to prove how much they know, the one who listens stands out like a calm, clear river in a storm. Listening is more than silence. It is active participation without interruption. It is eye contact, nods, thoughtful expressions. It is holding back the urge to jump in. It is giving space for others to speak, and then responding in a way that connects, not competes. Take this simple truth. When someone feels understood, they feel safe. And when they feel safe, they open up. Smart communication is not just about making people understand you. It is about helping people feel you understand them. Let us look at an example. Imagine you are in a conversation with someone who is stressed about work. You could say, "Yeah, I get it. Work sucks sometimes." Or you would say, "It sounds like you have been carrying a lot on your plate lately. What has been the toughest part? Which one feels smarter?" The second one, because it reflects listening, not just responding. Listening gives you power. When you really hear people, you gather insight, you pick up patterns, you recognize emotion. You uncover what people care about. And once you know what someone truly cares about, you can speak directly to their needs, their values, their pain points. That is how leaders lead. That is how negotiators win. That is how great speakers connect. Listening also makes your speech more precise, because instead of throwing words blindly, you tailor your message. You shape it like a sculptor, based on what the listener has already given you. It is not one size fits all. It is custom, and custom sounds smart. Here is how to practice smart listening in everyday life. Be fully present. Put your phone away. Look them in the eye. When you listen with your whole body, people feel it. Repeat back. Key points. After they speak, say, "So, what I am hearing is, or it sounds like you are saying." This not only confirms you understand, it shows you care. Ask follow-up questions. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about that?" Or, "What happened next?" Signal depth and build trust. And here is the golden rule. Listen to understand, not to reply. Do not treat conversation like a competition. Treat it like a dance. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, but you are always connected. Smart listening also helps in high-pressure moments. Let us say you're in a heated argument. Instead of defending yourself immediately, pause and ask, "What are you really upset about right now?" That one question rooted in listening can shift the energy completely. Suddenly, you are not the opponent, you are the partner, and that is smart. In interviews, listening is your hidden weapon. Many people walk into interviews trying to sound impressive, but the smartest candidates listen first, then speak with precision. They let the interviewer reveal what they are truly looking for, and then tailor their response to match that need. That is not luck. That is listening in action. In leadership, listening builds loyalty. Employees do not follow bosses. They follow people who hear them. In relationships, listening builds love. Partners do not stay for words. They stay for connection. In business, listening builds value. Clients do not buy from noise. They buy from understanding. So, here is the big idea. Speaking smart begins with listening well, because the best speakers are also the best listeners. They hear what others miss, they notice what others skip, and they speak not to impress, but to connect. In the next chapter, we will dive into a subtle but powerful shift, eliminating weak language and filler words that quietly sabotage your speech. Because sometimes sounding smarter is not about what you add, but what you remove. Chapter 7. Avoiding filler words. Weak language. Sometimes it is not what you say that makes you sound smart. It is what you do not say. Because in the world of communication, filler words and weak language quietly steal your power. One word at a time, they creep in unnoticed. Words like, like, sort of, I think, maybe, kind of, basically, and before you know it, your sharp idea sounds soft, uncertain, and forgettable. Let us be clear, everyone uses filler words occasionally. That is human, but when they become a habit, they turn into background noise. They dilute your message. They make you sound unsure, even when your idea is brilliant. That is the danger. Your message loses its edge not because of content, but because of delivery. Let us look at two versions of the same sentence. I kind of wanted to say that maybe we should look into another plan. Now, the same idea. I believe we need a better plan. Let us explore other options. See the difference. One feels hesitant. The other feels clear, strong, and smart. It is not about being louder. It is about being cleaner with your words. Here is what filler words really are. Verbal anxiety. They show up when your brain is catching up to your mouth. You are thinking while talking, so you reach for placeholders. But smart speakers do not reach for noise. They reach for silence, and silence is powerful. When you replace filler words with a pause, you signal control. You show that you are thinking with intention, not panic. Weak language is another hidden enemy. Phrases like, I just wanted to say, this might sound stupid, but I am not an expert, but instantly shrink your credibility. They apologize for your presence before you have even spoken. But here is the truth. Smart speaking does not beg, it believes. Do not undermine your voice before it is even heard. Instead of saying, I might be wrong, but here is an idea, say, here is an idea I would like to share. Instead of, I just want to add one thing, say, one point to add is this. Small shifts, big impact. Smart speakers do not make themselves small to appear polite. They speak with clarity and respect at the same time. Here is how to eliminate filler words and weak language in your daily speech. Record yourself. Pick a topic. Speak for 1 minute. Play it back. Count how many times you say just, awareness is the first step to change. Replace with pause. The next time you are tempted, fill space with sound. Pause. Breathe. Think. Then speak. That 1 second of silence is smarter than any filler word could ever be. Practice with power phrases. Write down 5 strong sentence starters like, here is what I believe. Let us consider this. The main idea is, here is what I recommend. What matters most is, use these often. They become your go-to anchors when your brain feels scattered. Also remember your tone adds strength. You can say the smartest sentence in the world, but if your tone rises like a question or trails off at the end, it sounds uncertain. But if you end with a confident downward tone, it sounds complete and credible. That is how smart speakers train their delivery. Real-life example. A young woman once went for a pitch meeting. She had a strong idea, great visuals, and solid research. But during her presentation, she kept saying, just, and kind of, especially when challenged. The feedback she got, we loved your idea, but we did not feel confidence behind it. That is what filler words do. They doubt your idea for you, even before anyone else does. Eliminating weak language is not about sounding robotic or perfect. It is about learning to own your message fully, clearly, and courageously. Your words have weight. Let them stand on their own without the soft padding of hesitation. The next time you speak, do this. Slow down. Breathe. Choose each word like it matters, because it does. Replace empty fillers with intentional pauses. Replace weak openings with powerful phrases. Replace shrinking language with smart structure. Over time, your brain rewires. Your confidence grows, and your speech becomes tight, clear, and unforgettable. In the next chapter, we will dive into emotional intelligence in speech, how to match your words with your listener's heart. Because speaking smart is not just about being right, it is about being in tune. And that is where your real power lies. Chapter 8, Authenticity. The smartest way to speak. You can master your vocabulary. You can perfect your structure. You can speak with confidence, listen deeply, and even command a room with calm clarity. But if your words do not feel like you, none of it matters. Because the smartest way to speak, the most powerful, magnetic, and unforgettable way, is to speak with authenticity. Authenticity is the soul of smart communication. It is the energy people feel behind your words. It is not about saying the perfect thing. It is about saying the real thing with honesty, humility, and alignment. Smart does not mean robotic. It means true. It means speaking from your values, your story, your experience. When people sense you are being real, they lean in. When they sense you are performing, they check out. Most people think smart communication is about impressing others. But real smart speaking is not about showing how much you know. It is about being courageous enough to show who you are, because that is what people remember. That is what earns respect. That is what builds trust. Let us take an example. Two leaders give the same speech about failure. One says, "Failure is unacceptable. We must push harder." The other says, "I failed more times than I can count, but every time I learned something I never could have learned from success. That is why I do not fear failure. I grow from it." Who do you trust more? The one who hides behind toughness, or the one who speaks with truth? Authenticity does not weaken your voice. It multiplies your strength. Speaking smart with authenticity means embracing your natural tone, your unique pace, your genuine emotion. It is okay if your voice cracks when you are passionate. It is okay if your hands shake when you care. Those moments make you human, and humanity is magnetic. You do not have to sound like someone else to be impressive. You do not need to mimic someone else's voice to be heard. You need to sound like you, at your clearest, your most present, your most honest. Because your story, your scars, your truth, those are your most powerful tools. And when you bring them to your speech, you do not just sound smart, you sound unforgettable. But here is what often gets in the way: fear of judgment. We hold back our truth because we think it will not be enough. So we dress up our words. We mask our voice. We try to sound like someone we think the world wants. But smart speakers do not shape themselves to be accepted. They shape their message to reflect their essence. They do not try to fit in. They show up fully. Here is how you can step into authentic communication. Speak from experience. The smartest stories come from lived truth, not theory. Do not be afraid to say, "Here is what I went through," or "Here is what I have learned." People connect to realness, not polish. Own your imperfections. Smart does not mean flawless. It means self-aware. When you say, "I do not have all the answers, but here is what I believe," people trust you more, not less. Let your emotion live in your words. If you care deeply about something, let it show. Do not hide your hearts. To sound professional. Real emotion is the most intelligent signal you can send. Drop the mask. Do not say what sounds smart. Say what feels honest, respectful, and clear. Do not perform, connect. Here is the paradox. When you stop trying to sound smart, you actually start sounding smarter. Why? Because authenticity is clarity. It is simplicity. It is confidence without ego. And when your voice matches your values, people feel it. That feeling sticks with them long after your words have ended. Look at the greatest communicators of our time. Mep Brown, Steve Jobs, Malala, Nelson Mandela, Oprah. Different voices, different tones, different stories, but one thing in common: authentic presence. They were not trying to be perfect. They were trying to be real, and in that realness, we saw their brilliance. So, here is your reminder. You do not have to be someone else to speak smart. You already have everything you need. The words, the tone, the wisdom. What you need most now is the courage to show up as you are. Chapter 9. Speaking smart in high-stakes moments. The real test of smart communication is not when things are calm. It is when your heart is racing, your palms are sweating, and the stakes could not be higher. It is the interview that could change your future, the difficult conversation you have been avoiding, the presentation in front of your boss, your team, your client, or your dream audience. In those moments, your ability to speak smart under pressure defines how far your message will go. Here is the truth. Most people ignore. Under pressure, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your preparation. That is why smart speakers do not wing it. They train for it. Just like athletes, visualize the game before the whistle blows. Smart communicators rehearse mentally, emotionally, and physically before walking into high-stakes moments. Let us start with the preparation mindset. Speaking smart under pressure begins long before you speak. It begins with clarity. Ask yourself, what is the outcome I want? What is the single most important idea I must deliver? How do I want the other person to feel when I am done? If you can answer those three questions before you speak, your words become purposeful. Your tone becomes intentional. Your energy becomes focused. That is how clarity turns into confidence, even when your nerves are shaking. In interviews, for example, many people try to memorize perfect answers, but smart candidates focus on key stories, not scripts. They prepare 3-5 experiences that reflect their strengths, struggles, lessons, and results, and they practice telling them in a structured way. Situation, action, result. It sounds like this. In my last job, we were behind on a product deadline. I took the lead in restructuring the team's workflow, and we delivered the project 2 weeks early. That moment taught me the power of focused collaboration. That is smart. It is not robotic. It is real, prepared, and powerful. Now, let us talk about presentations. Public speaking is one of the world's biggest fears, but the fear does not come from speaking. It comes from uncertainty. What if I mess up? What if I forget my words? What if they judge me? Here is how smart speakers shift that fear. They know their message inside out. They visualize success instead of failure. And most importantly, they focus on the audience, not themselves. Because nervousness is self-centered energy. How do I look? How do I sound? But smart speaking is service. How can I help them? How can I move them? That shift in attention dissolves fear. When you focus on giving, you stop worrying about being judged. Now, in conflict or confrontation, smart speech becomes even more valuable. When emotions are high, most people defend, attack, or shut down. But the smart communicator listens first, then speaks slowly, clearly, firmly, without raising their voice. They do not react, they respond. Let us say someone says something unfair or aggressive in a meeting. An untrained response might be, "That is ridiculous. You do not know what you are talking about." But smart response sounds like, "I understand you see it that way. Let me share a different perspective. No shouting, no ego, just calm strength." That tone disarms people. That clarity commands respect. Remember this. The smartest voice in the room is often the calmest one, and calm does not mean weak. It means centered, confident, in control. That is true power. Here are 5 quick strategies to speak smart under pressure. Breathe before you speak. A deep breath resets your nervous system. It clears the fog. It slows your speech. Use structure under stress. When you feel overwhelmed, fall back on, "Here is the issue. Here is what I propose. Here is why it matters." That clarity saved you in chaos. Speak slower, not faster. Fast speech signals panic. Slow speech signals control. Focus on your tone, not just your words. You can say, "I disagree," in a way that feels respectful or offensive. Tone makes the difference. Visualize the win. Before the moment starts, see yourself speaking with clarity and calm. This primes your brain to perform under pressure. One last truth. People will not remember everything you said, but they will remember how you made them feel during the moment that mattered. If you stayed present, if you held your ground with grace, if you spoke clearly, honestly, calmly, that becomes your reputation. That becomes your power. Chapter 10. The Psychology of Persuasion. How smart speakers influence without forcing. Speaking smart is not just about sounding impressive. It is about being influential. It is about moving people, not with pressure, but with purpose. And in today's world where opinions are loud and trust is low, the ability to persuade with clarity, calm, and character is not just useful, it is essential. Let us get one thing clear. Persuasion is not manipulation. It is not tricking someone into doing what you want. It is not dominating or overpowering. It is helping someone see value genuinely, honestly, and ethically. And smart speakers use persuasion as a bridge, not a battering ram. True persuasion is built on 3 timeless pillars. Aristotle named them centuries ago, and they are still the foundation of every great speech, sales pitch, and conversation. Ethos, logos, and pos. Let us break them down. 1. Logos. Appeal to logic. People respect speakers who make sense. That is why your message needs to be structured, supported, and specific. Smart persuasion starts with logic. What problem are you solving? What facts back your point? What examples bring it to life? But facts alone are not enough. You can overwhelm someone with information and still leave them unmoved. Why? Because humans are not robots. We are emotional beings, which brings us to 2 piles. Appeal to emotion. This is where real influence happens. When your words do not just explain, but make people feel. If you can tap into someone's frustration, hope, fear, or desire, you are no longer just speaking. You are resonating. Tell stories, share struggles, paint vivid pictures. Do not just say climate change is a problem. Say, imagine your child asking why there are no more trees left to climb. Emotion brings urgency, and urgency drives action. 3. Ethos. Appeal to credibility. Finally, people are persuaded by those they trust. And trust is not just about degrees or titles. It is about authenticity, consistency, and humility. Smart speakers earn influence by being believable. Speak with honesty. Admit what you do not know. Reference others. Share your journey. Because credibility is not claimed, it is felt. Let us bring this together with a raw example. Say you are trying to persuade your team to adopt a new work system. A poor approach. We have to switch platforms. It is non-negotiable. Get used to it. A smart, persuasive approach. I know change is uncomfortable, especially when our current system feels familiar. But here is what I found. This new platform cuts task time by 40%, reduces human error, and improves collaboration. Imagine how much easier your week would feel with less duplication and clearer workflows. I have been testing it for 3 weeks, and the difference is real. I am here to walk you through it step by step. What did you just do there? You acknowledged emotion. You used data and examples. You shared your personal experience. You offered support. That is persuasion with empathy, logic, and trust. Now, here is what not to do when trying to speak persuasively. Do not talk at people. Talk with them. Do not lecture. Listen first. Do not assume agreement. Invite curiosity. Do not overpower. Inspire. Smart speakers use questions to guide discovery. Phrases like, "What if we looked at it this way? Have you ever noticed that? What would change if we tried this?" These open the mind. They lower defenses. They invite thinking, and when people feel they have arrived at the idea themselves, it sticks. Also remember, timing matters. Smart persuasion knows when to speak, not just what to say. Sometimes silence is more persuasive than pressure. Sometimes waiting until someone is ready works better than speaking when they are resistant. And here is the final truth. You do not have to win every conversation to be persuasive. Our goal is not to dominate, it is to plant a seed, to make people think, to nudge them closer to insight, and over time, those seeds grow. So the next time you want to influence, whether it is a friend, a client, an audience, or your own inner critic, do not force, guide, lead, invite, speak from clarity, anchor in empathy, lead with integrity. That is not just smart speaking, that is transformational communication. In the next chapter, we will dive into the speaker's secret weapon, storytelling, and how to use it, not just to entertain, but to deeply persuade, connect, and inspire lasting change. Chapter 11. Storytelling, the smart speaker superpower. If you want people to remember what you say, make them feel something. If you want them to act on your words, take them on a journey. And if you want to leave a lasting impact, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime, then do not just inform, tell a story. Storytelling is the smart speaker's secret weapon. More powerful than statistics, more engaging than lectures, more human than any perfect argument. Because people do not remember bullet points. They remember moments, struggles, triumphs. They remember you, not your slides. Let us be clear. Storytelling is not fluff. It is brain science. Neuroscientists have discovered that when you hear a story, your brain does not just listen, it lights up. The listener's brain mirrors the speaker's experience. Their emotions sync. Their attention sharpens. That is not magic. That is neural alignment. And smart speakers know how to trigger it. But storytelling is not just about sharing what happened. It is about why it matters. A story without a message is entertainment. A story with a lesson is influence. Let us look at a simple example. Say you are trying to inspire your team to keep going through a difficult project. You could say, "We have got to push through. We are almost there." That is fine. But here is the same point told through story. Back when I was just starting out, I once worked on a 3-month project that felt impossible. We were understaffed, overworked, and exhausted. But I remember one late night when we made a tiny breakthrough. It was not even big, but in that moment, it gave us hope. 2 weeks later, we hit our target. Looking back, that project taught me something I will never forget. When it feels hardest, keep going. That is when you are closer than you think. And that is where we are now. What just happened there? The audience connected with you emotionally. They saw themselves in your struggle. They found motivation in your journey. That is the power of story. That is what makes speaking smart and unforgettable. Here is the structure smart speakers use when crafting a compelling story. 1. The setup. Introduce the setting. Who are the characters? What is the situation? Keep it simple and relatable. This builds connection. 2. The conflict. What went wrong? What challenge was faced? This creates emotional tension, the glue that holds attention. 3. The resolution. How was the problem solved? What changed? What was learned? This gives your audience hope, clarity, or direction. 4. The message. Tie the story to your point. What does it teach? What should the listener take away? Do not leave it up to interpretation. Anchor the lesson. Here is what smart storytelling is not. It is not bragging. A good story does not make you the hero. It makes you human. It is not rambling. Respect your listener's time. Keep it tight, focused, and emotionally meaningful. It is not random. Every story should serve a purpose to teach, move, inspire, or explain. And here is what smart storytelling is. It is vulnerability, the courage to talk about failure, fear, and growth. It is authenticity, sharing from real experience, not fiction. It's strategy, choosing the right story at the right moment with the right message. One of the best public speakers of all time, Steve Jobs, never delivered a speech without a story. From his college dropout days to getting fired from his own company to launching the iPhone, he used narrative to create movements, not because his words were fancy, but because his stories were true. So the next time you need to convince, lead, connect, or inspire, do not just explain, do not just argue, tell a story. Make them feel the tension, see the moment, live the experience, then deliver the insight. Because when you speak smart with storytelling, you do not just reach ears, you reach hearts. And when you reach hearts, people follow you, not because they have to, but because they want to. In the next chapter, we will explore another layer of smart communication, charisma. What makes certain people's words sparkle? Why do some voices light up a room without trying? Get ready to decode the charisma factor and learn how to build it yourself. Chapter 12. How to build charisma through words. You have seen it before. That person who walks the room says just a few words, and suddenly everyone's listening. Not because they are loud, not because they are trying to be impressive, but because they have something invisible, something powerful, something you cannot fake or force. That something is charisma. Charisma is not about being the most attractive or extroverted person in the room. It is not about having the flashiest voice or biggest gestures. Real charisma, the kind that makes you unforgettable, is made of presence, warmth, and power. And the great news is, you can learn it, because charisma is not a gift, it is a skill. And smart speakers use it intentionally to move people. Let us break it down. Charisma has three essential elements. 1. Presence. When a charismatic speaker talks, you feel like you are the only person in the room. That is presence. It means being fully engaged in the moment, not thinking about what you are going to say next, not scanning the room for reactions, just being here right now. Charismatic presence shows up in your eyes, your stillness, your focus. When you truly listen before speaking, your voice carries weight because people can feel that you are speaking with them, not at them. 2. Warmth. Warmth is your emotional connection to the listener. It is the soft power that says, "You matter, I see you." It lives in your smile, your tone, your empathy. Charismatic speakers use warmth to create safety, and when people feel safe, they open up. You do not have to flatter people. You just have to respect them, ask questions, show genuine interest, use language that uplifts. That is a great question. I really appreciate your insight. I can see why that matters to you. These are not tricks. They are bridges, and warmth builds bridges faster than any title ever could. 3. Power. This is not about dominance. It is about certainty. Charismatic power is your ability to speak with conviction, even when you are calm. It is how you stand behind your words. It is how you pause with confidence. It is how you deliver your message like you believe in it, because when you believe your words, others do too. Power lives in your voice, not too fast, not too loud, just steady, strong, and sure. It lives in your body, open posture, grounded stance, eye contact. That is steady, but soft. Let us put it into practice. Imagine you are delivering a message to your team during a tough moment. Here is the normal version. So, yeah, I think things have been hard lately, but we will get through it if we try harder. Now, here is the charismatic version. I know these past few weeks have been overwhelming. I have felt it too, but I also believe in this team, not just because we are capable, but because we care. We have come through harder things before, and together we will rise again. What changed? You were present. You acknowledged emotion, warmth. You spoke with belief, power. That is charisma in action. And it did not take a performance. It took intention. Charisma also shows up in the little things. Using people's names, leaning in when someone speaks, slowing your pace when something matters, adding emotion when telling a story, making your audience feel seen, not sold to. And perhaps the most overlooked part of charisma, listening. When you make someone feel like their voice matters, they will remember yours forever. Here is the truth. You do not need to become someone else to be charismatic. You just need to become more of who you are on purpose. You already have presence inside you. Practice focusing it. You already have warmth. Practice showing it. You already have inner power. Practice channeling it through your voice. Smart speakers do not chase attention. They command it quietly, gracefully, consistently. They do not manipulate emotions. They honor them, and that is what makes them magnetic. In the next chapter, we will explore the final layer of smart communication, the science of influence in conversation. Because when you combine charisma with purpose, you do not just speak, you shape outcomes. And that is where your voice becomes a tool for real change. Chapter 13. The science of influence in conversation. Who have learned to speak with clarity, you have practiced tone, presence, authenticity, and even storytelling. Now, it is time to unlock a next level, influence, not just on a stage, but in everyday conversations, because true smart speaking is not just about sounding good. It is about guiding outcomes without force, pressure, or control. So, what is influence? Influence is the subtle art of helping others change perspective, make decisions, or take action willingly. It is not about dominating people. It is about understanding how people think, feel, and decide, and then speaking in a way that aligns with those internal processes. This is where psychology meets communication. Let us break it down into 5 powerful principles every smart speaker uses, often without anyone even realizing it. 1. The principle of reciprocity. Humans are wired to return favors. When someone gives us value, we naturally want to give back. Smart communicators use this ethically. They offer help. They give useful insights. They share value before asking for anything. Want to influence? Start by giving. Not flattery, not manipulation, genuine value. Example: I thought this article might help with your project. Let me know what you think. You gave first. Now influence flows naturally. 2. The principle of consistency. People want to stay consistent with what they have already said or done. Smart speakers ask questions that guide people to commit out loud to a belief or value. Then they align their message with that commitment. Example: you mentioned that integrity is really important to you. Would not doing this be the most honest next step? See how subtle that is. You are not forcing, you are inviting alignment. That is influence without pressure. 3. The principle of social proof. People trust what others trust. We follow the crowd, especially in uncertainty. Smart speakers drop gentle signals, like most teams in your position have already adopted this. Here is how others have solved this exact problem. It creates comfort, it builds trust, but it is not fake. It is anchored in relevance. 4. The principle of liking. We are more easily influenced by people we like. And we like people who listen to us, respect us, share similarities with us, make us feel seen. That is why smart speakers connect before they convince. They do not walk in with an agenda. They build rapport first. They ask about your goals, your challenges. They make the conversation about you, not just about their idea. 5. The principle of scarcity. We value what is rare, what is limited, what we might lose. Smart speakers do not pressure, but they do highlight the cost of inaction, not as a threat, but as a truth. Example: this opportunity may not be available later. I just want to make sure you do not miss out on something valuable. It is respectful. It is honest. And it works because it taps into urgency without sounding desperate. But here is what separates manipulative influence from ethical influence. It is built on empathy, service, and honesty. It is not about getting your way. It is about creating shared wins. It does not rely on pressure. It relies on clarity, trust, and timing. Smart speakers do not just speak to be heard. They speak to shape action gently, respectfully, effectively. And here is the final truth. Influence is not something you turn on and off. It is woven into the way you speak every day, how you handle disagreements, how you present new ideas, how you negotiate, how you inspire. If you can influence one mind with your words, you can change one moment. If you can influence a group, you can shift culture. If you can influence the world, you become more than a speaker. You become a leader. In the final chapter, we will now tie it all together with a closing message. The daily habits, inner practices, and lifelong mindset of people who speak smart, not just sometimes, but every day for life. Chapter 14. The daily habits of smart speakers. Speak with power for life. You have come a long way from understanding clarity, her tone, and structure to mastering persuasion, presence, storytelling, and influence. But here is the truth. None of this matters unless it becomes part of how you speak every single day, because smart speaking is not something you do once. It is something you live. Speaking smart is not about perfection. It is about practice, and just like any skill, it gets sharper with repetition, smoother with awareness, stronger with intention. Let us finish this journey with the most important part, the daily habits of smart speakers, so you can make this skill your second nature. 1. Think before you speak. Always take a breath. Ask yourself, what is the point of what I am about to say? Who is my listener? And what do they need right now? Clarity is not a technique, it is a mindset. Smart speakers pause long enough to respect the moment they are stepping into, and are to be less more. Smart speakers do not ramble, they do not chase words. They speak with precision, not volume. They trust the power of silence and choose language that lands. Every word should serve your point, not bury it. 3. Use your voice like an instrument. Vary your tone. Slow down when it matters. Emphasize keywords. Use strategic pauses. Your voice is not just a tool. It is a canvas. Learn to paint with it. 4. Read daily. Listen deeply. Smart speakers are smart thinkers, and smart thinkers are constant learners. Read books that challenge your vocabulary and expand your mind. Listen to great communicators and decode their style. Stay curious, not just about words, but about people. 5. Ask more questions than you give answers. The smartest voice in the room is not always the loudest. It is the one that invites others to think. Ask who. What do you think? Ask. How did that feel to you? Ask. Can you help me understand your side? These questions unlock connection. They open hearts, and they lead to better conversations than any speech ever could. 6. Reflect after you speak, after important conversations. Ask, did I say what I meant to say? Did they receive it the way I hoped? Or could I improve next time? This is not self-criticism. This is self-awareness, and awareness is what transforms habits into mastery. 7. Speak from your values in every interaction. Align your words with who you are. Speak truthfully, respectfully, authentically. When your words match your values, Your voice becomes unshakable. People may not agree with you, but they will trust you, and that is the ultimate power. 8. Practice in small moments, not just big ones. You do not need a stage to speak smart. Practice in your daily conversations. Practice when giving feedback. Practice when introducing yourself. Because every moment you choose clarity over clutter, presence over panic, and truth over trying to sound impressive, you grow, and finally, make it a lifestyle. Speaking smart is a lifelong journey. You will have off days. You will forget a point. You will stumble, but do not chase perfection. Chase progress. Because every time you show up centered and clear, you become not just a better speaker, but a better version of yourself. Final words. Your voice is power. The world does not need more noise. It needs more people who can speak with purpose, who can lead with empathy, explain with clarity, and move others with truth. That is you now. You have learned the techniques. You have understood the science. You felt the energy of what it means to speak with power. So, here is your mission. Start small. Practice daily. Speak smart, not to impress, but to impact. Remembered, speak with clarity. Lead with calm confidence. Ask more. Judge less. Listen deeply. Stay true to who you are. Because when you speak smart, your voice does more than communicate. It leads. It connects. It transforms. And one smart sentence, one honest moment, one powerful pause can change everything. You do not need permission. You do not need perfection. You just need to start. Go speak, and let your voice build the world you believe in.